Creston and I will be hosting the session, the program today. Our next guest is Rafailia Bampasidou. She's the artistic director and producer of Female Faces. Rafailia is also an award-winning composer, orchestrator, pianist, and a researcher.
And our other guest is Anna Xilakis, filmmaker, researcher, project manager, and the executive producer of Female Faces.
How are you, Anna and Rafailia? How is it going for you these days?
Hi, thank you for having us. It's been sunny here in Greece, okay. so it's good.
How is it for you, Anna?
Thank you for having us. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to talk about our project. I'm fine. I'm very glad to be here discussing the project.
First of all, I'd like to ask both of you, how did the project of Female Faces get started? You know, what was the concept behind it?
So I don't know if I should start, and maybe Anna will join.
Yes.
So the project started in 2017 when we were in Ireland, both me and Anna. And it started from a small idea of mine that I wanted to make a video portrait of a friend of mine and write my own music to it. And then I was just like, why we shouldn't do it like for many people and call our friends, directors and composers, and discuss about this and collaborate on that. And then this idea developed on the female figures and female beauty and all women and female essence related concept. So we managed to have up until now around 80 artists from all over the world. And maybe Anna can jump in.
Yeah, it's fun because we are we are both like in this project from the very beginning. It was, as Rafailia mentioned, it was her idea in the beginning. It was also a time where, you know, the Me Too movement started to grow in the United States, and we thought that it would be a good opportunity to somehow address this issue in an artistic way. So Female Faces is a project addressing the female figure through a series of female video portraits created by directors and composers from across the globe. I would say it's more of an artistic and cultural dialogue in its basis, approaching aspects of the female nature from different angles and perspectives.
Thanks, Anna. And you both are already extraordinary artists in and of yourselves. And I wonder, how did you get to know each other in Ireland? I know you're both from Greece. And actually in 2017, I was there, and you and I, Anna, were supposed to connect just to, to say hi, but we didn't manage to work that out. I was down in Bray. But in any case, how did you two meet, and did you know each other before Ireland? Just curious.
Yeah, we were actually, I was working, Rafailia, you were working on a project in the university, and so a common friend connected us. So we started collaborating on this project that Rafailia was working on. And then we discovered that we've got like a lot of things in common, and that we are trying to find new ways to address issues. And somehow what we are both about is we are trying to bridge like science with arts. So this was our vision, and this is what we are trying to do.
Great. One quick follow-up. I know, what kind of films do you, Anna, create? And yeah, I'm just curious, in the past, you've already had a few films out, and what's your basic approach to filmmaking?
I'm doing visual anthropology, so I'm doing ethnographic film. My first documentary was about human rights, and specifically the right to freedom of movement, and how this connected to one's relation to the state, to the nation state. Okay, so I was at the border of Greece in 2016 when the refugee crisis reached its peak. And I did the activist network that was based there and was helping out the situation. So my approach is more of an anthropological approach. That's why I'm trying, this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to bridge arts with science. So from an anthropological and sociological aspect. And I was always into film, so and into photography. So I've been doing projects, art projects, since I remember myself. I was lucky because my father was into photography and into video, so I had this equipment, and I was playing with this since I was in elementary school. Rafailia's background is also very interesting. She actually did mathematics, and she holds a master's degree in artificial intelligence. And in the same time, she was doing music, and she is actually an award winning pianist. And
composer.
yeah. So she like decided at some point that she wants to be a composer, and she wants to somehow also sort of like bridge what she, like her experience in mathematics with music. And this is how we got together and we started working on several projects.
That's very interesting, Anna. So I'm interested in sort of asking Rafailia about your trajectory of music, composing music, and combining your training as in maths and artificial intelligence. How was it? Because I'm really interested in that interface that you're working with. So how did it all started?
Well, I, as Anna, I was involved in many arts from a very young age. So I started to study dance, painting, and music from around the age of 4. So that was like on for like the whole, like all of my life. And when I got to university and I've decided to study mathematics, I was like always in some ways interacting, like I was going back and forth music and mathematics. And when I got to the master's degree in artificial intelligence, I got into neuroscience a lot. So I was studying about neural networks and data science and how that relates to like to music in general, but how we can use music and different art forms and connect them to technology and science in general. So we did like some very good experiments and had some interesting research at the master's degree I was in. And then from back then, I'm trying always to have some aspect of science in what I do, even as a concept, because I really like to challenge myself in very weird situations. And people are always like these that do not match at all, but whatever they see that it's not matching, I like to try to match them.
So it sounds to me like you and Anna both share that hybrid synergizing moment where you're mixing science with the art form of whether it's composition or filmmaking and editing and so on. So that's really great. But I'm curious about the Everest bag. Is that a boxing bag on your right?
Yeah, that's a boxing bag.
Do you take out your frustrations on that, or is that like part of your normal workout day?
Well,
I forgot to mention something about Rafailia, because when she finished her master's in artificial intelligence, she got into gymnastics, into the Academy of Gymnastics.
Wow.
It's
I
sports.
forgot to mention that.
Amazing.
Yeah, in the sports academy in Thessaloniki, because I was an athlete and I was in dance from a very young age. And I'm also finishing my master's in choreography in the Netherlands in Codarts.
And you're at NYU doing a PhD.
Yeah, but I'm just finishing the one, I'm starting the other. I'm like,
how many are there of you? I'm just curious. And by the way, why is Anna's name on the boxing bag? Do you punch it when you get frustrated, Anna? Is that no, I'm just kidding. Her name's
probably. It happens sometimes.
That's great.
So my the last couple of years I am in a team here, in a boxing team. So I was a running athlete up until now, and now I got into boxing with a great coach here in Athens. So that's about it. So I love to combine everything of this. As you can tell, I'm always curious for learning new skills.
Definitely, certainly a polymath you are. And let's turn back to the project itself, Female Faces. And I wonder about how it picked up. So it was conceived in Ireland as an idea, and it's grown. Obviously, if you check out the website, the link will be below. Obviously, it's just grown into a massive project. And I wonder what took it from that seed to where it is now. And do you see it even growing bigger and bigger and having a longer lifespan? And what does that look like? Thanks.
It started as a seed, like as you said, and because I thought it would be great if we have our friends to do the same thing and share diverse concepts of the same thing, of the same idea. So I was really curious how would a person in India would see this same subject, and how a person in Canada or in the US would see the same subject. So we started from there, and to be honest, we were emailing tons of directors in the first year, especially because we want to reach out as many as possible and see who we can get. Fortunately, in my master's in film scoring I was doing in Ireland, I had some very well-known composers in Hollywood. So I had this, I was lucky enough at least to help us with advice and support us in any case. And after a while, it was very, very, very fortunate that we had people from LA and New York, that they were already well known and worked with, like in films that you already know in the US, that they were very happy to give us their music and address this project to others as well. So we had some help from real masters, and then we wanted to give the opportunity also to younger people that they were starting their careers and they didn't have the opportunity like us. That's why we also we tried to get in touch with some organizations and institutions, but in the end we didn't agree with their line, so we just decided we wanted to do our own thing and give everybody the opportunity to have artistic freedom and say what they wanted to say. And so we stayed on our own, and hopefully we managed.
the only strict guidelines that we have is regarding the time limit of the video. Otherwise, we wanted really to give artistic freedom.
Anna, you said that this was a project, that was sort of, happened during the Me Too movement, that at least the idea was conceived during the time. So I'm just wondering, what is this project kind of like aligning with that, or is it kind of a response to it, or is it diverging from it? How do you kind of like take that kind of like whole Me Too movement into account here in the project, and how do you see like others responding to it?
So it happened to start when the Me Too movement started to grow in the US. However, it's and it was actually an opportunity because we felt like people are courageous enough right now to come and speak about these issues, and to start a conversation about the problems that exist. Because before, like, the problems, they existed, however, no one was talking about them. And this is how I think this is how the Me Too movement influenced us. So it gave us, like, it empowered us to come forward and to also reach out to directors and composers. Otherwise, I think we might be more hesitant. And I think this is a social project. Like, we are trying to discover, like, to discuss and to somewhat highlight the feminine side that is in all of us. We have people from all around the world, and they have different problems, different issues. They view things in a different way.
Wow, that's fantastic. And what's next? I mean, does the project actually have a concluding point, or is it an ongoing project? I can see this growing and becoming its own, taking on its own, I don't know, self-esteem, and to grow into other possibilities. Have you thought about those?
It's still ongoing, and it grew a lot throughout these past 3 years, because more people, they come in and out, because it's a non-profit project, so everybody has the right to go in and out. But the people that they are finishing their films and they are giving their work to us without with all of their heart, let's say, they are very willing and open just to share their work all around the world for a purpose that they believe in. And that's very important to say, that's why it grew so much, because it started as a simple idea, but people, they wanted to address social issues. We saw that almost in the biggest part of the world, there are a lot of problems regarding human rights, which is very, like, confusing and alarming to me. So through this project, people, they wanted to say a simple story, but they also share their own feelings about any issues that they would like to address through the project. Because also we didn't want to be a group of people that they would share online their work, as many projects did in the past. We've decided that we want this project to go on site in different cities of the world, and we are working for that right now. We are currently trying to build our installation. It's going to be an installation for the screening of the films. It's going to be interactive.
Where will it be held? Have you had a location?
We have talked with some locations in Greece, but the funny thing is we started in this conversation 2 years ago in the UK. We had at least 10 venues that they were willing to share non-profit their spaces and host us. But we've decided it's very important that this project is without like tickets or anything. It should be public. So we are trying to make it to be in public spaces, and people can go and interact with the installation, and just have art for everybody. So we are very much trying to have art accessible for everyone, and
Yes.
that's very important.
We think that, so we decided, we were trying to see how we can like make this project accessible to everyone. So we decided to create an installation and have like barcodes on it with a link to the films. And we thought that it would be a good idea to do it in public spaces and without you know, the intervention of a museum or a gallery, because we are trying to reach as many people as we can. And having an installation in a public space, I think it's the best idea, because in museums, it's specific. You are targeting a specific audience.
Yeah.
And
because we are also preachers of do-it-yourself movement, we also got artists that they designed because it's an interactive sculpture, let's say. So we had young artists that they are very talented, that they designed this for us, and they will also build it for us. And we have collaborators that they will design a very simple application that people can go and track with their phones the barcodes and have on their phones the full films. So they can go to a place that they can enjoy themselves, and also they have the freedom of getting like 40 or 50 films on their phones for free. So that's our main idea.
Well, you know, one of the big challenges that's happened to the art world is, and there was a recent article out, I think by the New York Times, or I forget the exact journal, but basically about half of the artists and folks in the cultural creative world are now without jobs, especially because of the pandemic. And it's especially hard. It was already hard already in the States. I don't know if you know, but the National Endowment for the Humanities has been cut to basically nothing. And in the 80s, it was, you know, it was there to help fund great artists. And so you don't have the public funding helping out with art, the art world, the creative world. And I wonder, first, it's exciting to see a project like this take off anyway, but then on top of that, you have the COVID issue. And I'm wondering how are you withstanding the challenges that COVID poses? And also, in a more basic question, maybe you want to answer this first, I don't know. Why is art important anyway? Like, what's the bottom line here with art?
Trust me, I was contemplating with that question myself. Because of course there are much more pressing issues at the moment. Everybody needs like public healthcare, you know, better in the States, what's happening now. And also I have like many great artists, friends in the States that they are hit by COVID. Like this whole situation, I mean. And I think, why do we need art? We don't even need to answer that. If you think about how many people in this past year watched films, listened to music, and read books, I think it was like a blossoming period of art, in my opinion. People, they wanted to, not only for the people, for the audience, but artists, they wanted to create just for the sake of creating and give their art good, like willingly to the audience. So I think, in my opinion, that connected us more in the art world, let's say, and help people to stay alert and sane in this pandemic period, in my opinion. So art is for healing the soul, is for helping you getting through difficult times. And that's also for the artists and for the audience. So of course it is important. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, in the spirit of like your project, like trying to sort of democratize the art form, like bringing it into public spaces and all that. I'm interested in like, how did you find yourselves, connected with the project when it comes to, different ethnicities, different, languages, different, different social classes coming together, crisscrossing each other. How were you able to kind of, navigate this aspect, this very intersecting kind of identities, not just being feminine, but all the other kinds of aspects, How was it? Yeah.
This is actually for me, it's one of the most interesting things in the project, because everybody has their own culture, and in some countries, something that it's obvious. In other countries, it's not allowed. So we had some cases that we were concerned about how we were getting things done. But the artists themselves, they are very respectful for their participants, because they are not taking, most of the times we are not having actors or actresses on screen. We have real people being participants in the project. So they are also sharing their story. And it's very important for everybody to have respect for one another. So the directors decide which issue or whatever artistic subject they want to address regarding the feminine side and the female beauty and all that. But the cultural background plays a very important role in what we get as a result. And it's very interesting, because in the first place, that was a very important matter, because if we were thinking about sending everything in festivals, for example, but festivals, they want homogeneity. So it's we were like, this is not about us, because this is not for us, because it's not what we want to do with this project. We don't want everybody to do the same thing with another camera, So we decided, both me and Anna, that everybody should do whatever they want. We should be as diverse as possible. At least for me, that's the key. And so that's why we have a girl in Qatar during Ramadan, and we have like a little child in, I don't know, Mexico. So it's very interesting for me.
To me, at least, also because of my background in anthropology, I feel like this project is more of an anthropological project. We made a call for films. We just gave out the title of the project, and we explained somewhat what we want to address here. And it was very broad and very general. We just gave liberty, and we said that this is what we are doing. If you want, just approach it in any way you want, do it from your own
wow.
time.
And I wanted to add that this cultural thing, it's not only about how they approach the subject, it's also if they have enough money to have equipment, because we had many cases that they said, yeah, I don't know, I'm in Thailand or in India and I don't have equipment. So we are dealing with this kind of stuff a lot, and people they don't have money for editors or this kind of stuff, so we help them with that.
Not with the equipment, but with the editing. Because
yeah, I mean, in whichever way we can, we help them resolve these issues, or we give them to collaborators of ours to help them.
So in a way, I think this project addresses also class, because you can see it through the quality and through the means.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And also it even crosses sexuality and genders, because we have already a drag queen. So this kind of femininity, we have people that they wanted to have men on screen describing their love for a woman, for example. So however everybody wants to address and how they see it, it's very touching for us. Like every time we are very surprised with what they come as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was thinking about the offshoot of Me Too movement that happened in Sri Lanka, and the kind of like the more mainstream version of it was very class-based, and it was like, you know, a representation of it took off as, you know, like women facing harassment in public transport, and they kind of to create a scene, like encouraging them to create a scene when there is, you know, something happening to them. But it was very class based. You know, you see in these projects which were sponsored by kind of like these organizations, you see people who rarely travel in public transport will be the face of it, and you know, this kind of like who will kind of be the representatives of it. So it's interesting that you provide this platform for this kind of like, you know, alternative ways of, you know, identifying with the Me Too movement, and I think that's great. Creston?
Yeah, I was just wondering, is this still ongoing? Like if there are still folks who want to do and participate in the project, is that still possible? And how do they go about doing that if it is possible?
Yeah, you can go in our website and there is a call for entries. They can click there and get in touch with us. And of course, we're very happy to talk with everybody that is interesting.
It'd be really fascinating to see how this all comes together and materializes, especially after the pandemic, when people can actually be in public spaces together without it being stigmatized in some way.
Yeah.
So I just can't wait for that to happen, and it's going to be really exciting. Thilini and I really want to thank you for talking about your project, and yeah, look forward to keeping up with it and updating others about it. So it's wonderful.
Thank you for having us.